really hate that ugly TJ Maxx bag back there. Okay.
You can move it. Do you want to move it?
That's fine. I'll just there's so much clutter in my background. We're gonna leave all this in too. What's up? Happy Monday. It means it's time for another episode of Armchair CMOs with me. I'm Vaughn. And hey, Jules.
And I'm Julie. Hey.
How are
And
you?
the, and the ugly TJ Maxx bag. Uh, the third character. Buddy, my dog is the fourth character somewhere in the back. Um, anyway, happy Monday. Uh, NBA playoffs this weekend. WNBA season started this weekend. There was golf this weekend. There was a horse race this weekend. Preakness. Am I missing anything?
Not that I can remember. You know me,
Your work.
locked in on NBA playoffs. A little bit of WNBA sprinkled in there, but that's about it, honestly.
There's like a lot to pick from to talk about today. That said, we're going to talk about start of the WNBA season. I think it would be stupid not to. And something else that like definitely caught our attention a lot that we did a lot of talking about this week, which was the NFL schedule release. So we're going to do our top five. But I don't want to get ahead of myself. Do you want to start with WNBA start of the season?
Do it. WNBA kicked off on Friday, tipped off, whatever you want to say. Tipped off is probably more appropriate.
What did I say?
I said kicked off, but tip off.
Tip off.
Um, Speaking of that, like, we'll just get the elephant out of the room, right? Like having the season tip off on Friday night, I felt like it was tough competing for eyeballs broadcast wise with obviously Celtics Knicks was huge. So I mean part of that is bad luck because you can't guess when those games are gonna happen. Like you just gotta go for whatever day you want to start. But that also meant that like I'm assuming they tipped off on Ion maybe, but they didn't tip off on like the bigger networks that carry the WNBA. So like obviously ESPN had the Knicks and Celtics on. I know NBA TV was playing like combine clips, I think, or games or something like that. So I know Ion is like the one of the official partners, so I'm sure like that makes sense and that's part of their deal. But I just feel like when you have just from what we see from the other leagues, when you have the kickoff, the tip off of the season, you want it to be as front and center as possible. And I feel like that was probably the only downside of what I thought was a good weekend overall for WNBA tipping off their season. All that being said about the broadcast, like the arenas all weekend looked like they were full, which I think is great, a great sign of like how the league is doing overall. But just that one thing that I noticed that was tough because and the reason I brought that up is because I was at a restaurant, at my friend's restaurant in Richmond, celebrating like three of my best friends have birthdays in May. So we were sitting at a table, like eight of us, getting ready. And one of the best friends who's celebrating his birthday is a huge Knicks fan, so obviously we're about to watch the game. But like we said that to each other, like there's two TVs, one of them could have the Knicks on, and we could like gladly watch. I think the Sparks played. Who the Sparks play? Someone. The Sparks played someone on Friday. We would have loved to watch the WNBA.
Sparks played the Valkyries, which was the Golden State team. So it was their
Right,
first game.
right.
Yeah.
On Friday night, right? That was part of the tip off. So all
Mm-hmm.
that being said, like I think I'm sure they've had that conversation, but just as we talk about the growth of the game, a lot of it has to do with people like us who just love basketball that we don't care who's playing, like we would watch it. So making it
Was there any? I don't remember what I was doing Friday night, but I didn't watch the next game. Was there any like at halftime, did they talk about the WNBA games at all? Or anything like that? Like,
we,
was there any over like
we couldn't hear the sound, so I don't remember.
okay. Like that could have been smart. I mean, it could have been strategic. Like they used the men's broadcast to then also talk about the women's, like which I don't know whether they did or not, but it's possible.
Right.
Um, yeah, Friday night it's just like tough in general, let alone that I think. I don't know, especially like in May. Friday night in January is different than Friday night in May. Um, let alone like the competition with the game six of like a playoff series. But there's like lots of stats. I mean, their preseason numbers were great. Like the fever, there's like all these statistics about the fever, like tickets selling for more than the Pacers playoff tickets, like you said, the arenas looked good, so it doesn't seem like they're struggling overall. And like Friday night was a formal like tip off of the season, but like there were games all weekend that they were pushing as part of the tip off. And actually, like if you look at their graphics for tip off week, it's the whole week, even through this like these weekdays coming up.
Yeah.
So maybe they didn't care that much about like Friday specifically. But
Yeah,
agree.
that's good. All right, you want to talk about some content that you saw that was good?
Yeah, so there was a lot of cool stuff, honestly. Like WNBA, the actual league, and then a lot of the teams are doing like a great job content wise lately. They must have all like really upped their budgets in the last year. The number one thing I want to talk about was the league released a hype video, and this is like a little bit old at this point because it was released I think the 9th. So it was like leading up to tip off. We, if you follow us on Instagram, did post it to our story. Um, but it was the hype video that was like viewer discretion advised. The following footage is offensive, like offensive, but then it goes like offensive, defensive, whatever. And that was just like a great video. There was like a lot of really positive feedback to it. I know it kind of had me ready like to watch a bunch of W games. Um, but then I like did a little bit of digging, and that it turns out that that's part of a larger campaign that the W is doing this year, um, meant to kind of like introduce or meant to be attractive to like newer fans to the league, but also like obviously kind of hype videos for existing fans. But the strategy overall is like to introduce maybe a casual fan or someone who's like really unfamiliar with the league to some of the biggest players. So that was the first of a series of 6 videos. The next 5 videos are going to be each about like specific players, and they chose like the biggest athletes in the league, and they chose the athletes that like have shown to have the best engagement. So it's Asia Wilson, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Napheesa Collier, and Sabrina Ionescu. Um, and the first video of that series with Asia is already out. That was released Saturday ahead of their season opener. Um, and that video follows the same theme. It's like viewer discretion advised. The following footage is like, what was it? Dangerous or something. Following footage is, oh, the following footage contains dominance. That was what. Um, Also like a cool video. The theme is awesome overall. Like if they all kind of stick to this theme, I think it's gonna be cool. But I just like the idea of like formally kind of introducing players, like especially your biggest, like they just essentially named the faces of their league. Um, and then they're like doing basically intro videos to those faces to anybody who might be like a new fan. So loved this whole campaign.
One other thing. Are you done talking about content?
Oh, I'm not talking about that content. You didn't have any thoughts to share?
Oh, I mean, I think that like anything that you can do, obviously, to highlight the big faces of the league is important. It's going to help continue to push them through. Anything you got with Asia in it, I mean, obviously, like people are getting Keelan Clark fatigue, but still gotta, I think you still gotta feature her as much as possible because she's actually good.
I don't know if anyone is getting Caitlin Clark fatigue. I feel like based on the numbers, nobody's getting Caitlin Clark fatigue.
Oh, but it's like, but it's also like we talk about with the Pat Mahomes thing. It's like you're fatigued of them winning or like having success, but you gotta, it doesn't mean that you're not gonna tune in. Like you're not,
I'm not fatigued.
but you're not rooting for her though, right? You're just like interested. I
Why wouldn't I be rooting for her?
don't know, maybe you are.
I think I might be. I don't know. I haven't like thought about it that hard, but she's one of like she's an athlete, like a once in a generation athlete. Like why wouldn't I be rooting for her? I think it's maybe I'm biased, but like I have had probably fewer athletes to look up to as a woman. And it's like I think it's part of why I like absolutely adore Serena Williams, for example. So like why wouldn't I be rooting for Caitlin to become the next kind of like that level athlete? I don't know. Anyway.
Hey, I'm
um,
I'm just very neutral. But that's also like
you're what?
I'm very neutral right now.
Okay.
I think that's because I maybe it's because I root for Asia. I don't know. I don't know. I haven't really I think my WNBA fandom is up for grabs, honestly. I think that's part of it. Like I haven't really stuck myself with anyone WNBA wise to really be either pro or against or tired or not tired. But I'm just yeah.
Okay, well, then I'm not done with content because speaking of Caitlin Clark, the Fever had a really cool like season kickoff campaign. They released a shirt that said on the front, it said every game is a home game, and on the back, it was their schedule with a sold out like stamp across the schedule. Because Caitlin Clark is obviously like selling out arenas everywhere she goes. And on top of that, like she's selling out like a lot of at least a few teams who move to bigger arenas when they play the Fever. And then she's still selling out those arenas. So that shirt I just like thought was really cool. I think it's tied to like a couple other things that they're doing to kick off their season, but like that I don't know. Talk your shit, Fever. Like you have this athlete who I was just saying is like a once in a generation athlete. So and then we always gotta shout out the hometown or like yeah, I'm gonna call it our hometown. Neither of us are from here, but it's fine. Uh, we
That was
gotta
like
shout
literally
out the
3 hours.
hometown. What?
I was there 3 hours ago. So yeah, like let's talk about
Yeah.
DC.
Gotta shout out the hometown team, the Mystics. Like every episode we do this, like some DC teams. The Mystics had like a hype video before their season opener that was narrated by Jayden Daniels. Um, that I mean that video was really cool, especially as like a DC. I've lived here 8 years now. Like I consider myself pretty familiar with the city. And it's really cool. Like it might not resonate the same way if you don't live in DC and like haven't it for a long time or whatever. But I think to like the DC locals, it's gonna hit right. And then to have it narrated by Jayden Daniels when the Commanders have like all this momentum behind them, right now I thought was smart. And we've said this a million times, like the Mystics and the Wizards are doing a good job lately of trying to kind of align themselves as like, hey, like we're your city's team. Like you may not be from here, but like you live here now and we're your team. And this I think does that well. So just like kudos to them on putting together a cool video.
Yeah.
That's all I have on content.
Couple other notes about WNBA. Like we did see article in SBJ about having a record number of sponsors for the league this year, which is another clear sign that the popularity is being matched by people investing in it, which I think is another good sign for the growth and the continued momentum of the league. And the other thing I wanted to note is we gave a lot of love to Jordan Brand over the past few months with a lot of Jalen Hurts stuff and some Luca stuff, but WNBA wise, making a splash. They did announce that they signed Napheesa Collier to Jordan Brand, which is a huge deal. She's one of the faces of the league in terms of success on the court, but she's also really involved with the talks and behind the scenes with the Players Association. She started an Arrival, which is another big deal. So having Napheesa Collier on Jordan Brand roster is a huge deal for them. Important to show like how they continue to invest and be part of the momentum for the league. And they got one of the most important names in the WNBA right now.
All right. Did you watch any WNBA this weekend? Not Friday, you said, but
I didn't watch any TV at all. I mean, I watched this Celtics Knicks game on Friday at the bar at the restaurant that I was at, and then Saturday, no, Saturday I spent most of the day either at the co-working space or on in the car on my drive to DC.
I had the Fever Sky game on, but of course I missed like the biggest part. I just had it on mute while I was like doing other stuff, but
You probably
yeah.
stop telling people that I don't watch TV as much because like that's part of what we're supposed to do to talk about shit on here, right? Like, probably should
Sorry?
I probably should watch stuff and instead of like coming on here and talking about how I don't watch stuff, like because like I should watch it just for the sake of I need to be able to talk about it on here.
So, yeah, I mean, to some extent I do that, but I was like, we have to live our lives. It's fine. I'm not about to, I'm barreling towards 30, and so I'm clinging on to the last of my 20s, and I'm gonna
You're
like
outside. Jules is outside.
have
She's saying
have a
you're
social life.
outside.
uh and not sit inside watching sports all day so I can talk about it on the podcast. Like, sorry. Um, that said, okay, let's talk about I may not watch TV, but I am for sure chronically online. So let's talk about everything we saw. The NFL schedule release videos. I saw a bunch of good ones from this year, a few from previous years that really stood out, circled back up on my page. There was like a lot of good content, some kind of cheesy, corny stuff that's like not worth talking about. I mentioned earlier we like put together a top five. Do you want me to introduce our number five?
Let's give a little bit of like general commentary though, right? Like
Sure.
I think that I mean obviously we had a similar conversation when the WNBA did their schedule release. There's like a we should make like an official armchair CMO's schedule release video rubric. Like, you know what I mean? Like is it
Ooh.
good? How long is it? Like, is it entertaining or some kind of criteria of what makes it good? Because I think all of these videos are over the top, very well done. Some of them are too long. And like some of them, the jokes on each other, like the teams in between jokes are like super like either too quick that you can't get it, or it's like super like you gotta be in the weeds of NFL beefs, like team inner team beef to know
Well,
what's
they
happening.
are meant for like a team's fans. It's a little bit harder for us to watch like a
Right.
49ers schedule release video because we're not 49ers fans. You know what I mean? But no, that said, like generally some of them are can be like a little bit confusing for sure.
And if it's like we said when we did the WM thing, if it's like you just want people to watch your cool video and like because I feel like we all agree that it's not really the point of these is not to watch this like know the schedule, right? Like it's just celebrating a day that the schedule comes out and the pundits and all of the talking heads on ESPN will say talk about the games. These videos are not to say, hey, here are the games. Like it's just like, oh, the schedule's out. You should go check out the schedule. But like just be hype about the season and be entertained by this cool video that we're making. And I feel like
Yeah.
everyone does a good job of that. But like, hey, I'm my attention span is shorter than ever because I got so much stuff going on in my brain. I don't have time for
Because you're also chronically online.
yeah, but I mean, not as much as I used to be, but still, yes, enough to be able to be like, okay, cool, like fast forwarding this, or I'm watching on YouTube at 1.5 speed. Like,
I feel that.
okay,
Okay, so we're gonna jump in now.
top
Um,
top five.
top five. So number five video I thought was the Rams schedule release. They had Brenda song in like an anchor chair, like news desk type of situation. Which and then it was a collab post with Together too, which I still don't necessarily understand that part, but cool that they made that happen because Together obviously like is maybe like one of the big accounts that like sports fans will follow. So it's like a way of reaching non-Rams fans as well. Also, the reason I love that it was Brenda Song is like it just kind of like came out after she did some like press, like various interviews or something where it came out. and was very clear she's just like a massive sports fan and she deserves like the cred that she's getting. Like she knows what she's talking about. Like when she said she's a fan of the Rams or whatever, there's an NBA team she's a fan of, maybe the Lakers. Um, she like really actually is a fan of them. So I thought it was cool to like use her and especially like kind of carry that like pop culture momentum into their schedule video. Like you said, there were some jokes in here that like some that hit right, like some that hit well, and like some that maybe went over my head, but maybe not for a Rams fan. But I thought this deserved a mention of the top five, definitely not the top one.
And she's also part of the reason why she was in the media, right? Because she's on that show on Netflix, right? The LA
The
Bus show.
running point, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, agreed. I thought that was good. Again, I thought that she did a great job, but it was a little long. But the jokes that hit, and it was good format. Incorporated the players in a cool way too to make it kind of entertaining, which I think is always good to try to showcase the players so it feel like it's not just some random marketing thing or just a random video. All right, number four was one of my favorites. Seahawks did a 90s themed commercial, like based on action figures. And this is just like maybe I like this because it's like literally my wheelhouse for nostalgia for someone that grew up in the 90s. Like this was a straight commercial, like that could have been a Ninja Turtles action figure commercial or a Batman, whatever, when I was a kid. So I really love that. But I also love that one not only the length of it was in a good sweet spot, like right under 2 minutes, but the pacing of it, because it was in the style of a 90s action figure commercial, like those were always like super exciting. The voiceover was super exciting and fast paced because they're trying to cram it in 30 seconds. And like they use that even though it wasn't 30 seconds, but they still use that same style of voiceover, which I thought was cool. And then lastly, a reason why I liked it is because they use it as a way to announce this is the 50th season. So, the action figures that they included had some of their legends like Marshawn Lynch and Steve Largent and my God, Bam, who was from the 757. So it was cool. I thought that was a good one. I thought I liked the, you know, I think a lot of these videos try to find the thing, one thing, a style, a pop culture thing that's going to inspire the video. And I think that sometimes those are a stretch, but I thought this one worked really well.
This one also works well. Like I feel like they're reaching a good demographic here with that. Like they're reaching millennial audience who might make up like the majority of people like, buying merch, buying tickets, that kind of stuff. Um, like there's some nostalgia to it, which I think is always like a powerful sales tactic. Like you might remember that might call back not only like a Saturday morning cartoon
Yep.
commercial type of vibe, but it also might call back like when you were growing up a Seahawks fan and you're
Yep.
just like a little kid who loved your football team, whatever. So like the nostalgia angle is always a good one.
I don't know why I said Bam. I meant Cam Chancellor from 757. I don't know what I was thinking. I just had to
I
bring
don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
That's fine.
You want me to take number three? I'll take number three.
Yeah, you can take them, I think.
Chargers have historically done really well with these. And this one that they did was super relevant pop culture. It was the collab with Minecraft. Again, they're getting the number three spot because it was so well done. And I know the production level of it was so crazy because of how much like it takes to build like a Minecraft world for the Chargers to like talk about all the games and the like one of my favorite moments from it was again like the jokes like we said some of the jokes are like really high level intense you have to be a fan to get it but when they made fun of the Commanders they had their fans cheering on like at the stadium and then they fell because I don't know if you remember that happened like maybe 3 or 4 like years ago where like the stadium banner
The railing broke or
fell right
something.
yes so like that stood out to me but like this is at number three because it's really well done. And it deserves to be high. I will like admit, like it's long and I didn't watch the whole thing, but it's good, it's well produced, it's got good jokes in it. quality of is very high, but then it's got the pop culture relevance because Minecraft is a big deal. And the movie just came out last month, which is, I mean, I do wonder maybe if this one missed the audience a bit because Minecraft is more of a kid thing, right? Like it's more of it's definitely not for us.
I am not the target audience for this at all. I have truly nothing to say about this because I'm not the target audience. I don't know if it's kids.
Like my nephew plays Minecraft. He's about to be about.
Maybe, maybe like Gen Z and younger, or like some really video game oriented millennials. But Gen Z is in their 20s now. So,
What?
yeah.
Is that true?
I'm almost a Gen Z, yes. If I were born 6 months later, I'd be a Gen Z.
Okay, that's crazy. All right, let's move on.
Yeah.
Oh,
Uh,
speaking of the next one, go ahead.
all right. So next one is I had this at number one first, but then you talked me out of it successfully. But the Bills video which featured Allen Iverson, who I know you love. The Bills just have like a total gem in Josh Allen.
Hmm?
He's so naturally funny.
Hmm?
He's so good on camera. Like he's so good at these things. I feel like unfortunately some teams have like their stars are like a little bit more stilted or like awkward on camera. Like he's so funny. They've done other stuff with him and I always like it. Um, but then also like to use an AI joke, like a little corny, but it worked
Worked
here.
very well.
And I think it worked honestly because of the way like the actual AI, Allen Iverson, like pulled it off. Which I know is like part of your critique of the video, but
Yeah, like
I feel like if he had not done a good job at this, it might not have worked. But I feel like he did a good job.
right. I think like this was definitely I had to put this number two, and we'll get into my number one pick in a second, but only because the number one pick is like checks a lot of boxes in the positive, like really well done way. But this was my
Mhm.
favorite one because of the AI. Like, I think the AI thing works even better because it's no connection. Like, there's absolutely no connection. Like, if this
Yeah,
was the Eagles, it would have been like, oh, okay, like he's played for the Sixers. He's kind of a Philly, like Philly loves him. But no,
it's
this
like
is literally random.
funnier.
It's funnier
It's
because
funnier because there's no connection. Yeah,
it almost feel like it could have been a real conversation, right? Like he just said
there. Yeah.
AI, and like the coach is like, or whoever the guy, I guess I'm assuming that's like the marketing guy or something like that.
I
Um,
also I know that this is such a small detail, but I really appreciated this. Like their actual schedule release was him just holding up like a printed, like a black and white printed version of the schedule,
it's
which like somehow fit the tone of the video. Like the humor stayed through that part.
and
Um,
it felt like realistic. Like they literally just called him and said, "Hey, let's record it." Like we need to record him, and he didn't. Like to act like he didn't know anything was like what they were doing. Like I felt like it was kind of realistic. Like he really would just showed up and yeah, but I think that all that worked.
yeah, no, I agree. Someone on that social media team has a sense of humor.
I mean, also
Because
knowing
like
AI,
a good sense of humor because they've
right,
been doing a lot of funny stuff.
right. Also knowing AI a little bit, like I felt like if it had been, if he had been a little bit more like selling it, it would have felt inauthentic. Like that's not really who he is. So like, who he is like, yo, you guys are asking me to do this. Okay, cool. I'll show up and do it, and then, but I'm still gonna be me. Like they tried to get him to say go Bills, and he was like
Yeah, no.
Josh Allen, right? Like.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it worked. I mean, this one for me, like definitely strong contender for number one. But you did talk me into switching the order. So I'll let
Number
I'll
one.
let you announce our number one, our best schedule release video.
This is like another reminder for people who pay attention, who have if there's anyone who's watched multiple episodes of this show, like kudos and thankful, like we're thankful for you. Like if you remember that I actually am a Jacksonville Jaguars fan. Uh not closet, not quiet, just, like selectively remind people that when it's appropriate or convenient. But me being a Jaguars fan is not why this is the number one video. It's the number one video for a couple reasons. So one, we talked about this a lot. Like the pop culture, social media culture connections are keys. They're super important to this video. So whereas I love the throwback to go get the 90s like Saturday morning cartoon commercial about action figures, like that's great. That's gonna touch base with me, but this video that the Jaguars did by getting Ashton Hall, who like was super viral a month ago for doing his routine with the water and the banana lemon peels or whatever he was doing, like as a social media influencer, not really into it, not a big fan. Like I didn't get it. But for the Jaguars to go calling him, knowing how much momentum he had and how viral he went and how many, how big his following is a huge deal. To do a video in his style of his morning routine and use it as a way to sprinkle in the dates and sprinkle in the opponents, I thought that was really well done. Um, I actually follow one of the social media guys for the Jaguars. I think it's a dude named Cam. I got to see a little bit of behind the scenes stuff that he posted, which was dope as well. But then the other part of it that makes this really relevant is like Ashton is from Jacksonville. So like that just makes it even more of a connection that makes sense. Um, and it works.
Um, this one did work. This one was risky because a lot like the reason that they became like such a meme and like blew up so much is because it was annoying. Like
Right.
his original video was like annoying, and dumb, and like people were making fun of it. So one like really key thing that I think made this work as opposed to like being annoying was like they were making fun of the video in the video.
Right.
They were making fun of the original video, which I noticed primarily with the timestamps. Like they made it take 3 minutes for him to just put on a shirt. Like they were like cutting literally to him just like putting on a tank top, and it took 3 minutes. Like they had his face when he put his face in the ice bowl. It's like he put his face down, and then it was 5 minutes later that he picked his head up. So like they were kind of making fun of like the initial video where some of the timestamps didn't make sense, and the whole thing just kind of was annoying. For lack of a appropriate better word. But similar to like the Bills schedule release video, like it had the potential to be kind of corny, but they like hit the right note with the humor and it worked.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, I think with these, like you either have to hit on something that's like really relevant pop culture wise, or kind of go like a nostalgia, uh, or like themed route, like something really themed to something else. Like the nostalgia, obviously, with the Seahawks, like Minecraft, they just went fully Minecraft. Like, um, I don't know.
I mean, and it also just depends. Like, I mean, I think that's something that, we know from being in the biz. Like, there's definitely no one size fits all. Like, what's the goal of the video for you? It depends on where you are as an organization. And like,
Mhm.
like we said, the Seahawks did a great job of incorporating their 50th season. Like that's a huge part of their marketing for this year, probably, which I think is another way, like just to show that it's very unique because not everyone's celebrating 50 years. So like this is cool for us. Let's figure out a way that makes us, gives an opportunity to really showcase that and incorporate that, which I think is great. But I mean, so one other thing I wanted to mention too, I did watch I watched part of the Atlanta Falcons one, which was like Mario Kart theme, so another video game theme, but like it just didn't like to me the Mario Kart theme for Atlanta didn't have a connection, just like the Minecraft thing doesn't really have a connection for the Chargers, but it's trying to be relevant, right? Because people love both of those games. But the one thing I wanted to mention about the Atlanta Falcons one, that was the only one that I saw that was sponsored. It was literally sponsored by Ticketmaster and it had a Ticketmaster logo on the cover, and I think at the beginning of the video, if I remember correctly. But again, like I said, that's part of what do you want it to be. So like if we know that millions of people are going to watch it just because it's schedule release day and it's become like one of the major tentpole days in NFL, like season, who cares how good the video is? Like, let's just sponsor it so we can, increase the value of this partnership with the Ticketmaster or whoever. So like, there's tons of reasons, tons of ways like to use this thing as a way to promote your season, promote your brand, promote your partners or whatever. So it's up to the teams to get creative with it. And you see that every year.
The Bills was they've added Ticketmaster in the description.
Got it.
I feel like I saw, but I might be mixing it up with some WNBA content now. Like somewhere I was gonna make a note about something that had randomly they were just like it said paid content with whatever brand, but there was like then no affiliation with the brand. But that might have been in WNBA stuff because I can't find it now. Um, you're right though. Like I feel like these could have been really good opportunities to like integrate certain brands. I didn't see anything like that, but
Right. I mean, and we talk about that all the time, like logo slaps. Like sometimes a logo slap is like enough. Most times it's
well, Ticketmaster is a really natural one because like schedule release, then you start thinking about like what games you might want to go to. Like I literally already did that with Steelers. um, so like Ticketmaster would be a natural one, like a SeatGeek or whatever, StubHub or something. I feel like that's a good opportunity for them to sponsor. And that like in that case, the logo slap kind of makes sense because then you might immediately go to Ticketmaster to like look at tickets. But
right. Okay. Good
all
talk.
right. Um, good talk. We'll be back probably next week to talk about something else. There's a lot going on, so we'll have something.